corrupt, inefficient, and in some cases, even in league with organized crime. Not surprisingly, many Mexicans simply don't trust their police officers.
Brian Cogan dio 10 años de cárcel a Ivan Reyes Arzate.
Allegations of police corruption are nothing new in Mexico, but it's rare to see federal officers face off against each other.
Money, guns, and luxury, everything that is unimaginable to the general public of Mexico, comes very easily to the narcotics traffickers. These groups have seen an exponential growth in their income since the 80s. As a result, Mexico has become the breeding ground of narcotics cartels. A few of these cartels have operations in many countries of the world. Within Mexico, they smuggle and produce narcotics, traffic them, abduct people for ransom, and threaten businesses for extortion money. But you may ask, how are they able to conduct these illicit activities without getting caught? Where is the law enforcement of Mexico? Well, a sad reality is that many of these cartels have associates in the law enforcement of the country. Some of them even have control over the government. Ivan Reyes Arzate began his career in law enforcement in Mexico. He was a Mexican federal police officer assigned to the Sensitive Investigative Unit, or SIU, as a low-level officer in 2003. But by 2013, due to his hard work, intelligence, and dedication, he became the SIU commander, which was the highest post in the unit. The SIU was created in the mid-1990s to make investigation easier for the US authorities. They could share sensitive information with these small groups more easily, without having to worry about them getting leaked. The groups worked for the US authorities and were located in multiple Latin American countries to prevent the flow of illegal substances to the United States. As a part of SIU, Ivan Reyes worked in close collaboration with the DEA and many US officials to control narcotics trafficking, money laundering, and other criminal activities in Mexico. All SIU unit soldiers were specially trained. In fact, they received week-long training at a DEA school in Quantico, Virginia. Being a top official of SIU, Ivan Reyes received the same. Reyes, in his role as supervisor over the SIU, routinely had contact and worked collaboratively with DEA agents in Mexico City, according to the indictment. The story began in November 2016. Ivan Reyes was conducting a joint investigation with US law enforcement authorities regarding a cartel called El Seguimiento 39, a faction of the Sinaloa cartel. Reportedly, he met the leader of the cartel and shared sensitive information about the investigation with him. He also agreed to assist them in their narcotics trafficking, and for that, he accepted around $3 million in bribes from the cartel. Since then, he helped them ship around 1,000 pounds of narcotics. In September 2016, they caught Ivan Reyes on a wiretap when he was speaking with a cartel member. Ivan asked him to get rid of his communication device and also informed him that he was being investigated and his phone was possibly being tapped. Earlier, he had sent a surveillance photo to the trafficker that showed him. He sent it to the mobile phone that was being tapped. That's when US authorities became certain that Ivan Reyes was working with the cartel. They also found his possible link with the Beltran Leyva organization. Reportedly, he had directly passed information to Arturo Beltran Leyva, the BLO leader who died in 2009. If this is true, then Ivan Reyes had been a cartel mole in police agencies for at least 7 years. In a shocking turn of events, Ivan Reyes surrendered to the US authorities in 2017. The court proceedings began, and some very interesting and unbelievable information came out. Both the cartels associated with this case have a strong hold over the law enforcement agencies of Mexico. They bribe and extort the officers and force them to assist in their operations. But these cartels didn't suddenly climb to power. They gained it through years of strategies, bribery, and lobbying. The Sinaloa cartel began its journey in the 1980s when it broke apart from the Guadalajara cartel. Joaquin Guzman, or El Chapo, assumed the position of the leader, and the cartel thrived under his reign.
Se mata, por algo se mata algo.
The Sinaloa cartel could also be called a chameleon. They were fluid and their men were trained to be highly adaptable. This turned them into a flexible and formidable force, allowing them to fight law enforcement without losing too many of their men.
Their structure is more complicated and perhaps more usable for adaptation than the structure of other criminal groups.
In fact, this structure made them the best narcotics traffickers and organized criminals in Mexico. That's why even after their leader, El Chapo, was arrested and extradited to the USA, the cartel continued to thrive under the leadership of El Chapo's sons.
But even after his imprisonment and now extradition, the organization El Chapo built is very much intact.
Sigue siendo el cártel más fuerte, definitivamente.
But how did they achieve this? Of course, they had help from the law enforcement. The Sinaloa cartel invested its money wisely. They offered bribes to officers and government officials.
The crucial skill that set the Sinaloa Federation apart from other cartels is that while some were buying heavy weaponry, the Sinaloa cartel were buying politicians.
Those officers heavily guarded the Sinaloan lands and never interfered in their narcotics dealings. Many Sinaloa cartel members have confirmed this themselves.
The police ever come by here?
Así han llegado a venir, pero solo pasan por caminos y uno ya mismo, pues muchas veces le da dinero uno, otras veces piden solo comida, otras veces quieren mujeres y eso.
But what happened to the members who got arrested? Well, they were still protected by their cartel leaders. Reportedly, many Mexican cartels owned or ran prisons. If their men were arrested and sent to those prisons, they received luxury treatment inside.
A lot of people think that correctional officers are the ones that are in charge inside. They are not. The ones that are in charge are the inmates and the cartel that runs the prison system.
And shockingly, both local and federal officers are involved in it.
Is police connected to cartels?
Yeah, definitely. Local police are 100%. State police, you could say 50-50.
But why did the officers accept bribes from them? Well, the reason lies in Mexico's treatment of its officers. In a survey conducted on 5,000 male and female officers, it was found that Mexican police are severely underpaid and mistreated in their jobs. In many instances, authorities didn't even supply enough equipment to their officers, and they had to use their own money to get them. This was challenging for officers who were stationed in some of the most violent states of Mexico. They often landed in gunfire battles and had to be prepared with enough arms and ammunition, which sadly came from their own pockets.
This officer in Tijuana, one of the most violent towns in the country, told us they aren't supplied with enough bullets and regularly have to buy their own.
A few officers had to work with malfunctioned vehicles and equipment, which harmed their bodies and, ironically, made them unfit to be on the job. Despite asking for replacement many times, their requests were ignored.
They always told me the same, he says. Put up with it or buy one yourself.
The survey also found that some officers regularly had to spend money on uniforms, petrol, and vehicle repairs. All of this should be paid for by the government. So it's pretty obvious that these officers would choose cartels over their duties.
You get paid like $200 a month, and organized crime comes and gives you $1,000 a month. Of course you are going to take it.
But is that the only way for them to increase their income? Possibly, because a majority of the officers never receive a promotion. In fact, the only way for them to get a promotion is to bribe their superiors, something they probably can't even afford with their meager salary.
Here we have intermediate positions, superior positions, and it all costs depending on the position that you want.
The officers know that it's illegal, but they have accepted it as the norm. When such illegal activities are already prevalent in the authorities, they probably don't think twice before making the switch and joining the cartel, because the line between the two appears to be pretty thin. Do you remember Genaro Garcia Luna? In 2023, the world came to know about his associations with the Sinaloa cartel, and he was convicted of taking hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes from the Sinaloa kingpin himself. The former Secretary of Public Security in Mexico is also relevant in the case of Ivan Reyes, because Ivan was one of the subordinates of Garcia Luna. This hints at the possibility that both could have worked together at some point to help the strongest narcotics cartel in Mexico. Garcia Luna first came into the limelight due to his lavish lifestyle, He owned many cars and properties, and he could never clarify how he could obtain such luxuries. Now, it has been revealed that the former security chief inexplicably built a fortune in 6 years. According to his asset statements, the former official owned a home valued at 450,000 Mexican pesos and another priced at 500,000 Mexican pesos in 2002, to owning a house worth 7,550,000 Mexican pesos, luxury cars, and other properties in 2008. Garcia Luna drew a salary that could never buy so many assets in both Mexico and the United States. Even if you consider his designation and rate of increment, he could never amass this much money even if he worked till the last day of his life. This level of extravagance was unusual for government employees like him. According to official numbers, Garcia Luna, his salary increased by 120%, and his assets increased their value 5 times. The Public Service Ministry, or SFP, initially shared information about his ownership of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle and 2 Mustangs. But years later, it refused to provide information in regards to his assets. The Sinaloa kingpin El Chapo was extradited to the US in 2016. He faced a trial in 2018, where Garcia Luna's name was revealed for the first time, and the whole world was left in shock.
Garcia Luna was one of the architects of Mexico's modern drug war, overseeing all federal law enforcement. But the trial revealed that for more than a decade, until he left office in 2012, he was selling information to cartel leaders, enabling them to smuggle tons of drugs across the border.
Mexican authorities arrested him in 2019. Just like Ivan Reyes, Garcia Luna was also working with US officials and the DEA. His arrest sparked a debate. How did his US peers not know that he was working with the Sinaloa cartel?
Garcia Luna worked closely with the FBI and DEA for more than a decade and had contacts in the highest levels of the American government. In all that time, is it really possible that the Americans had no idea what he was up to?
A thorough investigation revealed that Garcia Luna's assets were built with bribe money that he regularly received from the infamous cartel.
U.S. prosecutors say the bribes could be in the tens of millions of dollars.
Prosecutors allege that he received around $274 million in bribes from the cartel from 2001 to 2012. First as head of the Federal Investigative Agency, the Mexican equivalent of the FBI, and then as Secretary of Public Security. But what did he exchange for all that money? Investigations revealed that he helped the cartel members smuggle narcotics shipments into Mexico and unload them without the fear of getting caught. He let them use submarines, planes, and just about any other method they could use for smuggling. He also ensured the steady flow of narcotics into the United States.
Witnesses testified that federal police officers under Garcia Luna's watch would sometimes unload cocaine shipments for the cartel or serve as bodyguards for drug bosses.
The US authorities seized at least 8,000 pounds of narcotics between 2002 and 2003 in New York City, which also coincides with the tenure of Garcia Luna. This indicates that he was responsible for the smuggling of a large portion of these substances. Further investigation confirmed that Garcia Luna indeed was responsible for this action.
It's alleged that Garcia Luna helped the Sinaloa cartel smuggle more than 50 tons of cocaine into the U.S. If the allegations against Garcia Luna are true, it means he would have been working for the cartel when these record-setting seizures happened.
But not only United States. Under his supervision, the Sinaloa cartel also smoothly distributed the substance inside Mexico.
Por eso es muchísimo el dinero que viene. Entonces, a lo que tengo entendido, venían 50 kilos de fentanil ahí para distribuirlo todo el estado de Sinaloa.
Apart from all this, Garcia Luna also traded sensitive information with the Sinaloa cartel. This helped their members plan their smuggling more meticulously and avoid getting caught during raids.
Cartel members testified this week that Garcia Luna accepted millions from the cartel in exchange for providing the cartel with information about police operations targeting cartel members.
Garcia denied all allegations against him and pleaded not guilty. Authorities also called former members of the DEA to examine their ties to him and to understand how Garcia Luna was able to help the Sinaloa cartel without their knowledge.
Prosecutors called members of the DEA, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, and the New York Port Authority to discuss the various ways drugs were being brought into the U.S. and the vast amounts of cocaine seized right here in New York City.
This also alerted the U.S. government officials, and they demanded answers from the officials who worked closely with Garcia Luna.
Senator Chuck Grassley sent a letter to the heads of the DEA and FBI demanding an explanation for how Garcia Luna was able to work for the U.S. while also helping El Chapo smuggle more than 100,000 pounds of cocaine across the border.
However, some experts speculated that the U.S. authorities might have known about Garcia Luna's possible association with the Sinaloa cartel, but he was also helping them catch other narco lords and take action against them. So, they chose to stay quiet about Garcia Luna.
But they still found him useful because he was going after other organized crime groups at the same time.
During Garcia Luna's trial, prosecutors carefully avoided speaking about the DEA's possible involvement in this matter, and only discussed how Garcia Luna had betrayed his own country by helping the notorious cartel.
Prosecutors kept the case focused on corruption in Mexico, but the clear implication is that the Americans must have known more about Garcia Luna's cartel involvement than they've let on.
And from what it appears, we might never know if the DEA truly knew about the friendship between Garcia Luna and the Sinaloa kingpin. All 5 counts brought against Garcia Luna were later proven. After the arrest of Garcia Luna, authorities were quick to identify a possible link between him and Ivan Reyes. The authorities also claimed that they had evidence about Garcia Luna, not only assisting the Sinaloa cartel, but also the Beltran Leyva organization, or BLO. In addition, Reyes Arzate was the SIU commander of the Mexican Federal Police, while Genaro Garcia Luna was the Secretary of Public Security, who oversaw the Mexican Federal Police. Like Reyes Arzate, the government expects to present evidence that Garcia Luna accepted bribes from the BLO. But not only Garcia Luna and Ivan Reyes. A few other government employees have also been accused of association with narcotics cartels. One of them is Edgar Veitia, the former Attorney General from the state of Nayarit. He was accused of association with a narcotics cartel and was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2019. But the fun fact is, during his 2019 trial, Veitia mentioned that former Mexican President Felipe Calderón was involved with the Sinaloa cartel and had asked his cabinet to help them in their battle with other rival cartels. Everyone was shocked, as this implication can have a grave effect on the future of Mexico. However, Calderón dismissed the allegation by calling it absurd. I categorically deny the absurd statements reported by the press made today by the witness Veitia, Mr. Calderón tweeted on Tuesday. What you say about me is an absolute lie. I never negotiated or made a pact with criminals. But is he being truthful? If we trace back his tenure and match it with that of Garcia Luna, we can see that they overlap. This could possibly mean that Garcia Luna helped the Sinaloa cartel because of orders from Calderón. And since his tenure overlaps with Ivan Reyes, it's possible that he was in on it for the same reason. From 2006 to 2012, Mr. Garcia Luna served in Mr. Calderón's cabinet as the Public Security Secretary, a powerful post in which he effectively ran the Mexican government's war against cartels. As of now, we can't really tell if the allegations made against Calderón will ever be proven. However, we do know that both Garcia Luna and Ivan Reyes will be brought to justice for their acts of betrayal. After turning himself over to the authorities, Ivan Reyes faced the court for the first time in April of the same year. During this session, he indicated that he might not challenge the court anytime soon. Ivan Reyes was also found guilty of providing the sensitive information to the Beltran Leyva cartel in the mid-2000s. The complaint brought against him was pretty straightforward. He had provided details on a DEA informant to the Beltran Leyva cartel, who was later captured by the cartel. The DEA informant was tormented by them until he passed away. In that role, the defendant was the principal point of contact for information sharing between U.S. and Mexican law enforcement personnel assigned to the SIU. He routinely had contact with and worked collaboratively with DEA agents in Mexico City. In exchange for at least hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes, he assisted Mexican cartels in funneling cocaine into the United States, including New York City. Ivan Reyes reportedly received $290,000 in bribes from BLO in exchange for his assistance. A complaint unsealed last week accuses him of divulging the identity of an informant to the Beltran Leyva cartel. The person was later tortured and killed. The document estimates Reyes Arzate was paid at least $3 million. In one of the 5 court appearances in 2017, Ivan Reyes requested the judge to let him stay at one of his acquaintances' house in Springfield while he waited for his trial. However, the judge turned down his request due to security purposes. The judge said at a hearing Thursday that Ivan Reyes Arzate has no close ties to the U.S. and would be too much of a flight risk. He was indicted in Chicago, where he received all his charges in October 2021. He was convicted of assisting Mexican cartels to ship substances to the United States. Authorities also found a direct link between him and the cartel El Seguimiento 39, which is directly connected to the Sinaloa cartel. Ivan Reyes Arzate, 49, personally met in 2016 with leaders of El Seguimiento 39, a DRG cartel associated with Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's Sinaloa cartel, while serving as the top-ranking officer in the Mexican Federal Police's Sensitive Investigation Unit in 2016. He was investigating cases regarding this cartel when he decided to switch sides and help them when he was offered a hefty bribe for his services. At the time of the meeting, Reyes Arzate was investigating El Seguimiento 39 in collaboration with American investigators. The police commander was fired the day after the bribe was discovered. In January 2020, they issued a new arrest warrant against him, although the Metropolitan Detention Center already had him in custody by this time. Ivan Reyes met his fate on February 9, 2022, in the U.S. by United States District Judge Brian M. Cogan. He received 10 years of prison time for participating in a narcotics trafficking conspiracy. There were rumors that Ivan Reyes might side with the U.S. authorities and testify against Garcia Luna, but it has since been dismissed by the authorities. The prosecutors have marked Ivan Reyes as a traitor and claimed that he had betrayed the oath he had taken by associating with narcotics cartels, but they also mentioned that such people will always be brought behind bars. Corrupt police officers who use their government positions to further the interests of the cartels and harm our communities will be brought to justice and punished for their crimes. Their badges will not shield them from accountability. Ivan Reyes also regretted his actions. He said a few heartwarming words during his trial before he was sentenced to prison. "I know that the scourge of doctorgs caused a lot of pain to a lot of people. I profoundly regret whatever pain was caused by my actions. But how did the U.S. make such a grave mistake? Didn't they do a background check before appointing Ivan Reyes in such an important designation? Well, they can't always do that. In fact, the top officials themselves make it difficult for them to conduct a proper background check." A former chief of international operations for the U.S. Document Administration mentioned that the top commanders of the special units almost always refuse to submit to background or polygraph checks. However, they never have to face this with the low-level commanders. The higher echelon, the higher level of the federal police, do not want to be vetted, Vigil said. So the information that goes from the vetted units to their commanders can be easily compromised. The chief said that these commanders had severe integrity issues, but also said that they were pushing for a better vetting system for these top officials. He also mentioned that these officials are usually fearful of the vetting process because they don't want to divulge their past. This raises concerns because if it's true, the authoritative figures might have moles or people with controversial backgrounds, and this can't be positive for a country. The capture and sentencing of Ivan Reyes have raised many questions about the integrity of Mexican government officials. People have begun to lose faith in their leaders because of these recent revelations, but as more of them are being brought to justice, we can hope that it will help restore the Mexican citizens' faith. So, what did you think about the cop and government officials who helped the cartels carry out their illicit activities? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video to show your support, subscribe to our channel, and press the bell for notifications of future uploads. See you soon with the next exciting story.